Getting there.
All right, we are at the Tezayin, right? Is that where we left?
Oh, test
All right. Tessie, that's right. All right, so we left off for 2 lines from the bottom of Tezayin and Beis. Today's Yudches, yesterday's Yudzayin. So let's move. Amar, actually, today's Blazroy Geshmak. Just gotta get there. Amar Rabbi Tanchum Berei, Rabbi Chia, Ish Kvarako, Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Paracha, Amar Rabbi Simai. So he said, I will not repeat it because I just read it. And it's Ba'amrila, and some say it was Amar Rabbi Tanchum, Amar Rav Huna, Ba'amrila, and some say it was Amar Rav Huna, L'chudei. Talmud Shenida L'chvoido, Niduyov Nidui. A Talmud who goes ahead and he puts someone in I guess in Cherem and Nidui, right? For his honor, his Nidui does work. The Tanya is learning Brisa, right? We saw this earlier. Menu de la Rav, Menu de Talmud. If one is Menu de la Rav, if he's basically excommunicated for lack of coming to the Rav, then he's excommunicated also to the Talmud. Menu de la Talmud and Menu de la Rav. One who's Menu de la Talmud is not Menu de la Rav, right? So the Rav who did Menu de Halo Koliyama Menu de says it's only to the Rebbe who is a higher level of respect, which is sort of given. So that person, he never really lacked that type of respect to the higher level, but everybody else, it is considered to be excommunicated. So we see over there that the nidui, right? So lamai, so even the shemaya, if we're talking about right towards towards the shem in chagolin to revein eitz, right? Then there is nothing that can go ahead and stand before that. And in other words, that if it was Hashem, then it should be by nidui for everybody. Elalav, rather not, it must be l'chavod atzmo. Rather not, this Talmud put him in Cherem and Nidui because of kavod atzmo. So you see over there that a Talmud who was if it was l'chvodo, it was for his honor, then his Nidui is considered to be a good Nidui. And Amar Rav Yosef, Tzurba mirabanan, right? Ovid dina lenafshe b'mosa de psikalei, right? Very interesting line. We have to also, know what this specifically this deals with. But a Talmud Chacham can do a din lanafshe, right? If it's positive, if it's pashtim, if it's something which is clear psak halacha, he does not have to go ahead and wait for a beis din. Rather, if it's clear to him, he can go ahead and do the din lanafshe, right? And this comes off of what we just said before, because if someone was disrespected in an improper way, then he's allowed to go ahead and put him in cherem without going ahead and bringing him to an entire beis din. So there was a certain Talmud Chacham that people did not like. They didn't like him. So Amar Rav Yehuda, I guess he was bad to others. So hey, what should we do? The Shante, if we go ahead and put a cherem tzricha the Rab, then but the Rab need him. L'maisa, he's a big Talmud Chacham, and he's he teaches us not to go ahead and put him in cherem shema. Right, then we go ahead and be basically going to be mischal shem shemayim. So he says back to the Chana. Have you heard anything regarding this? Rabbi Yechon says, what does the pasuk mean? What says? Ki sivsei kohen yishamru das v'tori vakshu mipihu ki malach Hashem tzvos hu. So it says when the Kohen, when his lips are basically when they're sealed, right, and the Torah people were seeking will request Torah from him because it's a Malach Hashem. Ki Malach Hashem. What does that mean? If he's similar to a Malach Hashem, this Talmud Chacham, then be Mevakesh Torah from him. But if not, if he's not like a Malach Hashem, i.e., he's hated by the Rabbim, then Al Yivakshu Torah Piv. Then don't go ahead and request Torah from him. And therefore, what they do, then Shante Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda put him in Cherem. Now, what happens? So he put him in Cherem because of this one Talmud Chacham. So what happened? So L'sof, in the end, so Ichalish Rabbi Yehuda. So he became sick. So the Rabbanim wanted to go ahead and ask him about and he also wanted this guy who was in Cherem also wanted to go ahead and see Rabbi Yehuda who put him in Cherem. So Rabbi Yehuda Chayef. So when he went with them, so Rabbi Yehuda saw him, he started laughing. He said the guy who put a Cherem. So Amar Lei lo mistayech deshamte lo gavra elach achuchi nami chayechabi. Right? Is that enough? You put me in a Cherem. You're also laughing at me. What's going on here? So Amar Lei, no. La badicha mechancha. All right, no, I'm not laughing at you. Rather, when I go upstairs to Shemayim after 120, Right? That's why I laughed. Why? Because even someone like yourself, I didn't basically go ahead and kiss up to. I didn't refrain from doing it. I did the right thing. I wasn't intimidated, right, by anybody, and therefore I did the right thing. So therefore, right, you reminded me that there's going to be no claims against me of being mechanic, of being kiss chanifit, right, to go ahead and kiss up to others in this world. So what happened? Rabbi Yehuda was nifter. So they came to the base manager, so Rabbi Yehuda was nifter, and this guy was still like sort of stuck in chayr. He said to them, Charlie, he said, okay, now permit me. All right, says, well, there's no one on the level of Rabbi Yehuda. Since Rabbi Yehuda was on a high level, and he was the one who put you in chayrim, right? There's nobody in his level. So we're in the second wide line in Yud Zayin and Aleph. Ella zil lagabi Rabbi Yehuda Nisiyai. Go by the other Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda Nisiyai, right? He was a Nasi at the time, not Rabbi Yehuda, but there was a contemporary of Rabbi Yehuda Nisiyah. The Rish Lecha, let him go ahead and be mounted for you. Us Lekami came for Rabbi Yehuda Nisiyah. Amalei LeRabbi Ami. So the Rabbi Ami Kukai Dadine. So he told Rabbi Ami, go ahead and look into the matter. Tell me if I should go ahead and give this, release it. So even by Lemishrele Sharle, if you need, if he should be matir, I'll go ahead and matir him. So Rabbi Ami Badine, start with the Mishrele. So he looked into it. He says, okay, we should go ahead and put him and release him. He's okay. So Ahmad Rashmol Nachmani, God Rab Shmuel Nachmani, not this guy's favorite person. We'll soon see why. Aragli said, "V'Amar Umash Choshav Beis Rabbi Lo Noga Chamin Kalis Reish Benidu Shalai Shanim." So the shivcha of the house of Rabbi, she put someone in chayrim, right, in nidui, and for 3 years no one touched it. Yehuda Chavireina Achas Kamakava. So Yehuda, our friend Rabbi Yehuda, who put him in, who just recently was nifter, right? You're going to go ahead and be matir his nidui, right away. So I'm Zera. Man the kama deasa haina haisaba to be bejasha. They'll come shani loyasa. By the way, footnote, Rabbi Shmuel Nachmani, right? He didn't come to the base for many years. This one day he happened to come. Yud Zayin and Aleph. He happened to come this one day, right? And he says, and he brings, he talked about the maidservant in Rabbi's house, and they listened to her for 3 years. So Shmamina, let me buy Lemishre lay. So in the end, we're not going to go ahead and matter. So we're not going to be release him from his neither. So Charlotte, they didn't permit him. So Nafik Kikabachi, the Asa. So he heard this and he went out. He was crying. He was upset, right? And what happened? Asa Zibura V'Tarkte Amase, right? It came along a bee, and I guess stung him on his Amase, right? On his Makom Erva, right? Nashkul Amasa, right? On his Erva, the Shachif, and he died. So what happened? The Chasida, they went to go ahead and bury this Talmid Chacham who was basically put in a chayrim by Rabbi Yehuda. They went to go ahead and bring him inside the cave of the Chasidim. V'lo kablu, right? The cave that I accepted, right? There was a snake outside, as Rashi points out. There was basically blocking the entrance to show basically he is not deserving to be buried in the cave of the Chasidim. So then he went to the Marasa the Daina, but then he went to the cave of the Dayanim, the Kiblu, and then there was nothing refraining from them burying him. They cared in them. My time, huh? So what's the reason? Devik Rabbi Loi? Because he acted like Rabbi Loi, the Tanya. And we'll soon see that actually there's two different versions, the gears of the Tanya Leonard Bryce. So Rabbi Loi Omar. So he says, so a person sees that he has his Yetzer is too strong for him. He can't fight his Yetzer Hara. He's going to sin. So go to a place where no one recognizes it, no one knows he's a Jew, right? And wear dark clothes, right? And go ahead and do whatever your heart desires, and basically so no one knows. You're not Mechal Shem Shemayim. And therefore not being Mechal Shem Shemayim for Hester. So some say that because he did this, that's what he was allowed into the basic kfaros of the Dayanim. And others say no, the pshat is that he didn't follow this, right? And therefore he was Mechal Shem Shemayim. That's why he was not accepted into the cave of the Chasidim. Fine.
It's all over a Shmuel. It doesn't say that he did it. They said the beginning of the
he had a bad name, right? He had a bad name.
There's a rumor about it. It must have been true though.
Right. I guess it must have been the guy with the right.
I think the bee sting kind of confirms it.
Yeah.
And the snake.
Yeah.
Right.
The snake on the.
Yeah. Right. Because he said, if you don't put Mecherim now, he's, A, we need him, but B, he's Mechal Shem Shemayim. So Mechal Shem Shemayim, Lechera through Averis. Fine. Now, what was the case we referenced to? The Shivcha Shel based Rebbe Mahi. What was the case of Shivcha based Rebbe? Why? There must have been Rebbe, what time the Amma based Rebbe, the Chazisa Lo Gavasa person, the Havi Machu, Lebno Gadol. He was hitting his kid. So I remember the Havi Hayu Gava Bishamta. He was hitting his older son, who's his older son, his adult son, and says, this guy belongs in Chem. The right? That he's going to violate, right? Right? Placing a stumbling block in front of a blind person. The title of the Bible right? The makil b'no gadol akazu d'abir. Right? We're talking about basically a b'no gadol. That someone has an older son, you hit him, he's going to hit you back. So the older son hits you back. That's going to be a problem for a son to a father, and therefore she said, "Put this man a cherem," and that was the case where they listened to her cherem for 3 years. Right. Yeah. So Reish Lakish, Havi Benat, excuse me, Reish Lakish Havi Benat Pardisa. So I guess he was watching a certain paradise, an orchard. Also, Gaved V'Kafil Teinei. So the person. Someone came along and is eating some figs without permission. Ramabay Kaili yelled at him, he didn't listen to him. So he wasn't listening to Reish Lakish. He says, get out of here, stop stealing figs. And the guy didn't listen. He says, this guy, you should be in Chayrim. The guy said, the Steve, the guy said back to Reish Lakish, right? Right? Okay, and I might be stealing, right? But that's not chayrim. Take me to court, make me pay. What do you put me in chayrim for? You belong, in chayrim because you tried to, chayrim me, right? So they mean Josh. So he went to Josh Amarle. Shalom nidui shacha. So he said Amarle shalom nidui shacha nidui. Right? So he told Reish Lakish, your nidui is not good, right? One person's not getting nidui for stealing, but the nidui he put on you really should be chal. My takana say
on Reish Lakish.
On Reish Lakish, right? So my takana say is the zil gabe the lish chal. So go find him and open magic the So he says, I don't know who he is. Summerlay zil gabe the sea the lish chal. Okay, so go to the nasi, the head, right, of all Bnei Israel, and basically he'll matter the Tanya nidui veina nidui. Person was a but he doesn't know by who. Yelachetzel nasi viatila nidui. I go by the nasi and I'll go ahead and be matter your nidui. And Amar Rafuna Busha Hiskino Av Basin Shasarach Ein Manadin Oso Ella Aimerlo. Right. So we learn over there that if the Av Basin was Sarach, he went ahead and sinned, and we don't put a nidui, rather we told him. So you say Hachabed Vashev Beisacha. Right. Go ahead and stay in your house. Right. As opposed to being out here with put a nidui, but if you stay home, then we don't really have to do it. Chazar Sarah, but he comes out and he sins again. Then we go ahead and we're menadin him because of Chil Hashem. Upligi the Reish Lakish, don't Reish Lakish. Talmud Chacham Shesarach a menadin asam for Hesa. We don't go ahead and put nidu it for Hesa. Shemar as the pasuk says, "Kshalta hayom chashel gam navi imcha laila." Right, you'll stop at that. Even the navi, right, the navi similar to like the nasi or the leader of Talmud Chacham, he sins it imcha laila at night. So it says kasu laila, right? You cover it as night. In other words, you don't go ahead, even if he comes down and sins multiple times, you don't go ahead and put him in nidui in public. Marzusha Chasida Tmechayev Sunan Rabbanan Shamta. So in the Marzusha Chasida in the beginning, when a Talmud Chacham should be put in Chayrim, so Bereisha Mishmei Nafshe, you go ahead and by himself. And then he opposed, right? So first he did it on himself, right? He says, if I'm going to go ahead and put him in Chayrim, let me put myself in Chayrim. And then we see when he goes to, let's say, someone's house, right? So to go ahead and stay at the local lodging, right? The local inn, right? So he says, Charlie the Nafshe, first he matters himself, and then Charlie the Dide. Then he goes ahead and matters the other person also to be able to stay there. So he would put himself in first. And we'll soon see why. And Amar Rav Gida Amar Rav.
Why was he putting somebody in favor?
So that person, that Talmud, whatever reason, it was deserving of it. So he didn't want to go ahead and just put someone in Chayrim. So he puts himself in. Right, correct. Yeah. So Amar Rav Gida Amar Rav, Talmud Chacham Menadel Yatso, Meifir Yatzmo. Right, we see over here the Talmud Chacham could go ahead and be Menader himself and remove himself. Right, and Amar Rav Papa Tisi the Shabbat says, I should be, get.
That's something if he did it himself. because we learned before with Reish Lakish, he couldn't release himself.
Reish Lakish, right? Well, because he wasn't the one who put himself in, right? But if you put yourself
Only
in,
if you put yourself
That-
in.
correct,
you can
correct,
release
correct,
yourself.
right. So he says, TC Lee, right? I should go ahead and get rewarded. I never put a Talmud Chacham in the of my life. Oh, that's the case. So what does that mean you do? There's no law there, right? Someone is deserving it, you don't do anything. So kiha, the Marav, I need to Rabbanon, right? And I guess they used to go ahead in Marav and Eretz Yisrael, they used to go ahead and give Malchus, right? They would give Malchus the Rabbanon as opposed to putting him in Cher. And my Shamta, where does this lashon of Shamta come? So Amarav Shem Misa, right? The name of death, right? Or designating some of that. Shmuel Amar Shmama, right? Shmama is like nothingness, right? And Mahan Yabe ki ticha b'tenura, right? And therefore the cherem that puts in, right? Shmama, right? So like shamein, like fat, and always would be like basically the fats in an oven, right? The grease, I guess, gets absorbed inside the wall. So too the shamta gets absorbed into the person.
Is it related to the word Shemitah?
No, I don't think so. No, shmama, like it means desolation. Right.
Shamisa, that's what you just said.
Right.
I know, but I'm wondering.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not, no tet in there.
So he said over here, and just like a person enters into Chedron with 248 limbs. Right? And so when he leaves him out. So in other words, you leave whole just like you came in. So it says this will be charim, right? Over there. So referring to basically to destroy the town. So it says charim right? When it's going right to be destroyed, to be cherem, right? So it also, if you do the gematria of cherem, it is 248. When it leaves, the Chassidus says bereges rachem tizkor, right? It says rachem, right? So rachem, have mercy to pray on tizkor, should be remembered. So rachem gematria have also 248. So 248 in, 248 out, and therefore you come out home. And Rav Yosef Shadi Shamda Gnuvasa the Kalv. V'yididei. So he says, go ahead and you can go ahead and put shamta, right, on the tail of a dog, right, and they'll work. It used to be, I guess, a dog would eat from the shoes of the rabbanon, right? Then train them. They didn't know what to do, so v'shamtale they put in this dog's tail in cherem, and Isla ben Nura, right? And then one time the dog's tail caught fire and basically it ruined the dog's tail. So even the effectiveness of the cherem on the tail we see was effective.
The dog was eating the shoe. Why didn't you put the cherem in the mouth?
I'm sorry?
The dog was eating the shoe. You think you put the cherem on the
I
mouth?
think they
Yeah,
didn't know- I don't
yeah.
think-
Good
they
point.
didn't know who was.
Right.
They
But they didn't know
just
right.
said cherem, whoever is doing this. And
Why the tail?
I don't think they said the tail. I think they just,
No.
right, they said.
It says the tail.
The Shamtule. They said they didn't know who was doing it, and they just put a cherem
Right, but
on.
they said that.
Whoever was doing it.
No, but they said even
They
right.
thought it was a person.
You could put even on the cherem, going to say the zanav,
They
right?
thought,
Right.
right, but they didn't know. They thought it was a person doing it. It
Right.
happened to be a dog, so that's why it got the tail.
The shoes.
They know, so it was damaging your shoes.
Damaging
Yeah.
the shoes. They didn't know it was the dog was eating them. That's small.
Yeah. How Alma. So one time there was a strong man. The Havi Kamatsar Leilo Tsuna Rabbana used to go ahead, a certain strong guy, mafia guy, used to go ahead and he was Mitzar, the Talmud Chachamim. So I was the Rav Yosef. So he said to Rav Yosef, what should we do? Summer lay, Zil Shamti, go Merchem, Summer lay. We're scared of him. Summer lay. Shakil na psicha. Go ahead and write a psicha for him, right? Basically a note that's saying they're going to put in a cherem. So he says, what do you mean? Certainly I'm going to be scared of him then. Summer lay, Shakli lay. Go ahead and take it. Achte v'kadem, place it in a jar. This psicha, put it in a jar. V'achte kikavre, and go ahead and bring it to the basic kvaros. The currently alpha shipur be'arba yom, right? And blow it 1,000 times, right, in 40 days. Azav avil they did it, and pagav b'kado meis alam. So they went ahead, they did it, and they blew it. And finally, at the end of the 1,000th time, the jar broke, and the guy died. So what's the reason for the shofar? So Shenifrim Mimenu, right? So the shofar comes from the Lashon Shenifrim, who be payment from, right? So he'll pay from it. So the shofar makes them pay for it. You put them in it makes them pay for it. And my Tavra, well, why do they dafka blow Tavra is like Rashi's Lama Toikim Tki of a Shvar? And why do they do breaking sounds? So Rav Yitzchak Brei Rav Yehuda, Tavri Kati Rami. Right, because it breaks tall buildings. The Tanya, Amr Rishon Gamliel, Kol Malcolm Shinasa Chaminayim, Misa Oni. Right, any place in they go ahead, they place their eyes. Right, could either be death or poverty comes from their putting their eyes. So whatever they're coming to do, they have potential to go ahead and damage, and even to break down big buildings or tall buildings, they can do that. And therefore, we do broken sounds to hint that they're wherever they place their eyes, they can break. Fine. 2 dots. Back to the Mishnah, which is called Bladagov Hanazir and Tzayim and Tumasal Tara. So we're talking about doing laundry and being able to cut their hair. So we talked about those, especially the Nazir and the Mitzara, when they are done with their Tuma, they go into Hara, they go ahead and cut their hair. So boy Mine Rabbi Zera B'Shalayim Panai. Are we talking about they didn't have the ability to go ahead no time before? Even when they have the ability to do it before, they're limited to go ahead and do it in a Chalmud. So Amarle. So Tanina, we learned Kol Elu Shamru Mutar Nagalech B'Moed. Anything that we said, a person is able to go ahead and shave, and right, or get a haircut on Moed. When they had no opportunity to go ahead and do it beforehand. Not if they had an opportunity before when they were Torah and they had to go ahead and cut their hair before, they should have done beforehand. But they had time before, then they should have done before. And Nazir Mitzara, right? Even though they had opportunity to do it before, nevertheless, it's mutter to go ahead and cut their hair. Why? Because they're kabbanos, they have to go ahead and and remove all their hair before their kabbanos. So therefore, if they didn't do it before for whatever reason, and now, right, if they don't do it now, they have to delay it another week, right, until afterwards. Then they can go ahead and do it in a chalmud. And Tana hakoin va'avel mutarim begiluach. A kohen and an avel is mutter to go ahead and cut their hair on Chalmud. Now, Kohen is referring to one, I guess, who was working the week before. We know that during their week of avoda, they can't go ahead and cut their hair. And Avel is the person who got up from their mourning period. Now it's hi Avel Eidami. So it's Avel. What are we talking about? If we're talking about, let's say, the last day of Avelus, right, their 8th day falls out on Erev Regel. Then they should have gone ahead and cut their hair Erev Regel and not during Chalmud itself. Ella, Shechal, Shmini Shalol Yois B'Shabbos Erev HaRegel. Maybe we'll say that it falls out the Yontif is on Sunday, right? And their Avelus ends on Shabbos, right? At Erev Yontif, right? So boiling Gluchay Erev Shabbos, and they should have all been Erev Shabbos. Dam Rav Chiz, Dam Ravina Bar Shiva. Halach Kavashol, Halach Zavashol, that one can go ahead and cut his hair even if it's Erev Shabbos, or Pesach, go ahead and cut them before. Right, if the 8th day, and Muhammad even agreed with Abishol that if the 8th day falls out, right, on Shabbos Erev Yontif, then you can go ahead and cut your hair on Friday. So everyone agrees in that case. So when is the Velas? Right? Now we're talking about a case of where the 7th day, right, is Shabbos Erev Regel. The 7th day, the last day, that is Shabbos Erev Regel, not the 8th day. In other words,
the burial took place on Sunday, so the 7th day was Shabbos itself.
Right. Before there was the 8th day was the day you're permitted to go ahead and do it, and that was Shabbos, and then the 7th day, right? We're going to get to soon whether it mixes in kakula or not. But right now, the entire 7th day is right. That would be the forbidden. But the 7th day was Shabbos.
The 5th, the 6th, and the 7th day. Don't cancel sugar.
So we'll get to. Let's see.
What's the Kohen?
So the Kohen is he had the avoda the week before, and they're not supposed to cut their hair during. So all of a sudden he's like 2 weeks out. So cutting his hair. So let's see the Shechal usually has Shabbos Erev Regel. So Tana Bras Shavuot Chavashol. The other Tana B'Yah holds like Chavashol you can do before. Dama makes the same kakula that holds me same kakula. But Yom Hashvi Oil Lakan Lakan, and the 7 days Oil Lakan Lakan, and therefore you can go ahead and even shave in the morning. The cave and the Shabbos have the onusu. And since there's a Shabbos, therefore it's an onus, and therefore he can go ahead and cut it on Chol Moed. And Tana Didan, so I mean, it means the same. Kuloi, Vakati Lo Shalom Le'avelus of the Shiva, right? And therefore it's not until the seventh day, and therefore it was not canceled by the. In other words, now if you hold like this, so if the Shiva ends first, right, then Shloshim starts, right? Then Shloshim will get knocked out by the Yontif. But if the Shloshim does not get knocked out at the Yontif, right? So then there was no Shloshim yet, then he wouldn't be able to go ahead and shave before because he's still in Shloshim. But if Shloshim also got knocked out by Yontif, so then your Shivas go on, your Shloshim is gone, and now you can go ahead and shave a Chol Moed because that's your first opportunity.
Yeah, if the person dies right before before Yom Kippur, you start sending Shiva and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur cancels Shiva, Sukkot cancels Shloshim,
Shloshim.
And then you would be able to,
shave Chol Moed.
right. Right. So hi Kohen Heichi Dami. Now back to the case of the Kohen. Hey, hi Kohen Heichi Dami. If we're talking about a case of where his mishmar was done basically Erev Yontif, he should go ahead and cut his hair before Yontif. So the tzircha, the shalom mishmar beregel. No, his mishmar was considered was during the Chol Moed. So Tana did on Savar Ar Tana it's Kevan did Snan. Since we learn Mishlosh Prakim Shalayu Kol Hamishmar Shabbos, everyone's the same. Beimura regarding Mechiluk Lechem Panim in the splitting of all of the matanos, right? Command Deloy Shalom Mishmar Beregel Dami, right? It's like he didn't, it's a continuation. It's a continuation, and therefore, right? Since it's a continuation, right? He would not be able to do it. The Tana brought some. That one's Achabi the Shaykh bad Mishmaras. Mishmasam Yashlim Alei. His Mishmar is over. And his Mishnah is over, and therefore he's able to go ahead and cut during the regular, right? Our Mishnah does not mention Kohen, right? So therefore our Mishnah holds that the Kohen would not be allowed to. But that one over there mentions Kohen, he would be allowed to. So all the cases we said the person is able to go ahead and cut the hair on Chol Moed, it's mutter to go ahead and during their days of Velos. Vatanya Isurim. I says they're Asr and Avel is Asr. So Nochizam Rav Shila Kitanya Hachi Mutarid Bishafu Avelav. Right. In other words, that which he says mutter for the Avel to go ahead and do it is if it's basically consecutive Avelis. So that was he basically was not able to go ahead and cut his hair, and then he had another one. He would not. Then we say it's mutter in such a case to go ahead and cut it in a back-to-back one. Now, each Avelav Ma'ir Kol Elisham. Right? Why do you have to say all these people? Everybody, if you have back-to-back, the tiny a person goes ahead and he has back-to-back periods of mourning, right? It's not just these people, right? It's anybody who has back-to-back, he can go ahead and he's allowed to lighten his hair, I guess trim his hair, or cut or wash his clothing in water. So he's right? Only over the razor, but not scissors. I guess the razor was the abnormal way. So you allowed to cut your hair by other, not in the normal way. And also with the washing, right? Also, when it comes to water, you can't, use like the detergents which are normal. Rather, go ahead and just use water and not these other detergents. And Rav Chisa it says that normally an avel is aser to do laundry. Just like it says aser to go ahead to cut one's hair on Chol Moed, so too it's aser for one to go ahead and cut his nails on Moed. Divi Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Huda and Rabbi Yosi Mater. Rabbi Yosi Mater is cutting nails, and Rabbi Huda says aser. So just like Rabbi Yehuda says, just like it says to go ahead and cut your hair during Avelos, so too it's also to go ahead and cut your nails in during Avelos, right? So in other words, we're talking about cutting nails. Rabbi Yehuda once again, just like Chol Moed it's aser, so too Avelos it's aser. Rabbi Yosi Mater, Rabbi Yosi is not mutter, just like it's mutter to go ahead and cut your nails during Chol Moed, also mutter to cut your nails during Avelos. And Amar Ula says Ula halach Rabbi Yehuda be'avel. The halach is like Rabbi Yehuda be'avel, right? When it comes to this case, Rabbi Yehuda was in the matir, right, cutting nails both during Chol Moed and during Avelos.
He was the matmer.
Rabbi Yehuda was Macher. I'm sorry. But Avel, I was doing next time. Halach Rabbi Yossi b'moed, and the halach is like Rabbi Yossi was make. Rabbi Yossi was the second one. Who was the matir b'moed. So halach like, but so we're machmer when it comes to avelus, cutting nails, but chol moed we're making. And Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, top of the page of today's page, halacha Rabbi Yossi b'moed uba Avel. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, both in the case of chol moed, in the case of Avel. Damar Shmuel halacha b'divrei mekel b'yava, because Shmuel holds that halacha is like the divrei mekel when it comes to avelus. So since he has the mekel shita cutting one's nails, so therefore you're allowed to cut your nails, and therefore he holds it's mutter to cut nails even during avelus. Pinchas achya de Mar Shmuel. So Pinchas was the brother of Mar Shmuel. Isabel Milsa, he was in avelus. Al Shmuel Mishal Tama. So Shmuel went to go ahead and see how he was doing it, right? So he went to go to visit him. So in the Chazino, the Turfei Davi in the Fishin, he saw that his nails were very long. So he said, why did you not cut your nails? Why are you being so machmer, Mr. Machmer? So right? But if you were in Cherem, right? Actually, not if you were in Avelus, right? You would be mazalza your Avelus to cut your nails. Right, and having because and it was like that's something that came out of the ruler. Milsa the Shmuel, and Shmuel Taka happened. He became an Avel. He also had a family member die, and now Shmuel's in Avelus, right? And basically, it was almost like a curse, right? Because he says, if you were in Avelus, would you cut your nails? All of a sudden, Shmuel's in Avelus. So then. Right, they were brothers, but I guess it was a wife, right? Or a kid, right? So he went to go ahead and visit him, and all of a sudden he saw him. Shmuel saw him, Pinchas, who basically the one who cursed him, and he threw his nails at him. Right? You don't hold, right? That something words that come out of the mouth is like a shtickle nevuah, right? You basically cause this to me. Where do we see that the bris is a covenant that comes out of one's lips, right? Basically, it's like doesn't have. The says, so Avram told his servants, so he prophesies that me will return, even though he's going to go in his mind. If I was sacrificing him, will return. So you see that that since the words came out that it will return, they both return. And the Milsa the Hadar Tarvayu. In the end, right, both of them returned. So and therefore you see that there is the koyach to go ahead. Nevertheless, right? They thought to say, okay, only you can go ahead and your fingernails, but not your toenails. Some Ramadan bar tachlifa ladidim farshili minay the shmuel loishna diyad loishna the regular. Doesn't make the hands or the feet. It's all the same. Both of them, I would be, I guess, mutter according to Rabbi Yossi. And Amar Rav Acha bar Ashi Amar Rav uveganusra aser. But to go ahead with the scissors or a nail clip or something with the full instruments it's normally to do, that would be aser. And Amar Rav Shimon bar Abba havi kamin kamet Rabbi Yechon b'midrash b'chol shamayim. Right, I was one time in front of Rabbi Yechon b'beis shachol mayim b'shaklinu leturfei b'shinei b'zarkinu, and he was biting his nails and spitting them out in the base medrash. So Shema Mina Talas. We learn from here three things. First of all, we learn that's meant to go ahead and cut your nails on chol mayim. We also see that it's not something which is to go ahead and bite one's nails is not considered to be disgusting, mius, right? Also, we see that it's meant to go ahead and throw them on the ground. Is that so? Three things that we said about the ways of discarding one's fingernails. Hakovron tzaddik, one who goes ahead and buries the fingernails is a tzaddik, right? Which we equate halacha nowadays, like say flushing down toilets, right? Tzaddik. Sarfa to go ahead and burn in a chassid. The Zarkon Russia, and one who goes ahead and just tosses them off, just throws on the ground is a Russian. Why is that? So Tamamai. Shematav Aleim Isha Ubra V'Tapil Isha. Okay, so I said the concern is that that the pregnant woman walks on them, so perhaps we can cause a miscarriage, right? So therefore, that's the reason why versus Russia. He's basically putting this this thing out there, which this damaging nails, which can cause a woman to miscarry.
You know why?
Why is that?
I really see it inside.
I forgot offhand.
It's a Masorah.
I didn't say it's absurd. Yeah, right. I mean, it doesn't. It's not a physical thing, but it's yeah. Even if you're walking, no. It's not. That's not a physical matter. Yeah. So Isha, yeah. So Isha says, so the Gemara answers, Isha b'midrash v'lo shkicha. No, because a woman doesn't go in the base medrash, right? So since he's like, he's go ahead and spear your nails, in the men's bathroom, right?
Oh,
So there it goes. So the chitema zimna demichash lahu. Perhaps maybe sometimes it's going to be cleaned, but not the body cleaning by a guy. And they'll go ahead and they'll strip it outside. So Kevin Lishtani. Once you move the nails from the initial spot where they were thrown, where they were discarded, it loses its quote unquote its power, its effectiveness to go ahead and cause damage. And Amar Rav Yehuda, Rav Zug ba mechamasam lifnei. So Per came says Rav Yehuda said a Zug ba mechamasam lifnei Rabbi. So that Peratan Chacham came for Chamasan, came for Rabbi. Marzucha Masni, he said actually it was a prize that says Zug ba mechamasam lifnei Rabbi. So what happened? Ubikshu minutes for 9. They requested to go ahead. Can we go ahead and cut our nails? And he says, Mutter. And if they would have asked even to go ahead and not that, I think actually during Avelis. Let's see. Yeah, Avelis. Sorry, referring to Avelis, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, if you would have asked me for even to go ahead and trim your mustache, right? Then, right, he would have said mutter. Shmuel Amar bikshu mimeno safa v'italehem. And Shmuel said, no, the mamash they did ask both, and he is mad to that because we'll see that the mustache, the hair above your lip, can get in the way of eating, and therefore it's disgusting. Therefore, you let it go ahead and let it trip, right? Amar avita safa mishmei to Rav. So he says before Rav, I guess not Rav Papa, yeah, Rav Papa, right? Or the rest text not right. You can go ahead from the lip from corner to corner. So anything above, right? Anything above the mouth where you're eating, there you got to go ahead and trim. And Amar Rabbi Ami was Sava Makas. Only if the lip hair, right, the mustache is basically blocking, is getting in the way of eating. Amar Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak Ladidi Sava Makavas Damili. Right? Any hair, I'm an Easternist. Any hair above my lip is basically like it's getting in the way of it's like my mustache is getting in the way, and I can go ahead and trim it because he's Easternist. The Amar Vital Safa Mishmei Parashay b'mei Moshe is similar. He's also same statement. So he says Parashay b'mei Moshe Hu Amma. So the power of the days of Moshe, he was an Amma, V'zekeno Amma, and his beard was that of an Amma. U Paramash Tako Amma, and his Makom Erva was also an Amma, right? So it's pointed out that basically he was full of rayas. He was a lowly person, right? Amma Vizeres, right? It was an Amma Vizeres, an Amma and a half. As the Pasuk says, right? The lowly people, right? He's physical, he's lowly in stature, he's lowly in midas and everything else in this world, but he was a lowly person. Those will be the people who will be appointed. The Omar Avital Sapar Mishmei, the Rav Parshay b'mei Moshe Amgushay Havi. He was an Amgushay, right? He used to go out to the river, to the water. So what is Amgushay? So the Machlekes Rashi brings it down over here, right? One says he was a Machshefa. He was doing black magic. That one says he was a Chadamar, right? He would go out and perform. I guess he would claim he was a sorcerer. Right, and others say he was he would go ahead and do giduf. He was a blasphemer. He would curse Hashem, and they would learn out that when he goes out to the water, that's what he do, either his sorcery or his curse. The elu mechabsim b'moed habam min Siyam. These people go ahead and launder. These people come from Medina Siyam. And Amar Rav Asim Rabbi Yochanan mish ein lo elokach echad mit lekapsa b'chol shemayim. Says Rav Asim Rabbi Yochanan, whoever only has one set of clothes, he can go ahead and wash on chol moed. So, look at our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says who's able to go ahead, person gets released from prison, or he comes from Disiyam, or all the cases. It's only these, but it doesn't list somebody who only has one set of clothes. So, I'll explain in the Mishnah. Our Mishnah is talking about a case of a person even has two, and they're both dirty. Maybe you can say a person comes to Medina Siyam and he has two. Maybe he should have washed one before. right? Or these jail, he should have had at least one before. So there, nevertheless, the person's allowed to do it. But with one clothes, right, he's always allowed to go ahead and wash. And Shalach Rabbi Yisrael bar Akel bar Gir Mishmei Rabbi Yechad Kli Pishtan mutter the Chapson b'Chol Shemayim. Kli Pishtan, right? Different, rags of made from linen, right? Those can be washed because those are much easier washed than I guess the wool clothes that they used to wear. But the Chapson b'Chol Shemayim, so the rags of the hand towels, right? Of the barbers. So he said, "Hani in Kli Pishtan." It's only those of them, not Kli Pishtan. Even the other types of clothing, those are talking about. Those can be washed. In other words, anything that's not easily washed, like linen, that is only the rags or the hand towels of the barbers and those stuff who are needed for Erev Chol Moed. But everybody else, right, the linen ones, those are able to wash at all times. And Amar Bar Hidia, the Didi Chaziri Yama Shel Tveria. One time I saw out in Tveria, right, and over there by the Kinneret, I guess, the Mafkei, the Mishchi, the Mani, Kisna, B'chol Damayit. Right, everyone was taking out bowls of linen clothing and washing a Chol Moed because it's very easy to wash linens as opposed to, I guess, wool. And Masav Abayi, Man Le Malon, the Baratza Chamim. So who says that they did Baratza Chamim? Right, Dilma Shla Baratza Chamim. Perhaps they didn't do it. Fine. So there was no proof that they did it then. Who says they did it? With the rabbi's well wishes. Fine. Now in Mishnah. Right, we'll try and get down to the Mishnah on the bottom. Mishnah says ve'elu kaisvin b'moi. These one is allowed to go ahead and write. So write normally that person is hired to write. Why can't one write on a Chol Moed? So it's a Maisa Uman. Right, something that the writers, the calligraphers, the people used to go ahead and do fancy writings. That was something that they did, and therefore it's considered Ma'aseh Uman, and therefore Ma'aseh Uman is forbidden al Chol Moed, right? So, but there are certain ones that even though it was done by a Ma'aseh Uman, it was permitted to do because of the importance of it. So Elu Kaisim b'Mayid, these are the items you can go ahead and write on Chol Moed. Kidshe Kedushay Nashim, right? A star. Right, of Haraya Mikudeshly, right? The woman's nigdei is b'shtar. So for the kedushin, right, there's two parts of the marriage. There's the erusin and the kedushin, which is one thing, and there's the nesuin, which is the final stage. So the erusin and the nesuin, i.e., the kedushin, could be done on Chol Moed, and that can be done. Person can be kind of a woman, right, through shtar. So kedushin nashim, the git, and also divorce documents, the shayvrim, receipts, right? Person is very important receipt because you pay somebody and there's no proof, then the person can go ahead and collect it afterwards. So daitki matana or a shtar tzava, right? Or he basically says, okay, I'm giving this as a gift to somebody, and in order for them to be able to keep the gift, you need proof, right? Pruzbolin. And a pruzbol, then is basically that a loan will not be canceled over Shemitah, right? You got a shum or some sort of document from the Beis Din, right? Evaluating the land, Vigeras Mazon, or a person that obligates himself to go ahead and support, children or orphans, so you can write that up. Shtar Chalitza, or if a woman performs Chalitza, that the rejection of the brother or husband's brother, right? Or Miyun, right? Miyun is done when normally. Yeah, I guess that's the proof that the chalitza was done, because now she's mutter l'shuk, right? And then by miyun, right, we know that a father can go ahead and marry off his younger daughter, but not if the father's not around, then she can't go ahead and get off and marry. So if the mother or the oldest brother marries her off, she has an option basically when she turns 12. Does she want to remain with the husband? Right? If she does not want to, she does miyun. So this document of miyun is to be recorded. Ushtari berurin. Or clarification documents to say who gets, Beis Din gave which chelik of Yerusha to who, Xeris Beis Din or different degrees of Beis Din, Vigeras Shorushus, or other documents of, I guess other commands of the government. All these items can be written on Chol Moed. Fine, period. Zok the Gemara. Omar Shmuel Yuchas Amud Beis. Omar Shmuel Mutter li'aris isha b'chol shemoy. Person is allowed to go to erusin, right? Remember, erusin is the first part, the step of the marriage, right? Erusin, she's basically almost eishes isha. It's not fully married. Mutter li'aris isha b'chol shemoy. Why? Shema yakdimenu acher. Because someone else will chop her up, right? Someone else will chop her up. You're allowed to do it now. Right? Because you can't marry her, right? You can't do the sunnah anyways. Doesn't make a difference. You can do the erusin Derech Chalmai. So let's say there's a proof. Maybe it's a proof. Look at our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says, right, that you can go ahead and write Kiddushin Nashim. My life, Shtari Kiddushin Mamish. Does that refer to Shtari Kiddushin? So he says, Lo, Shtari Psikasa. No, maybe it only means Shtari Psikasa, right? The Shtaras that say the promise, how much you bring, how much money you bring to the marriage. Rav Gidam Arav, Rav Gidam Arav, Kamata Naisen Lebincham, Kach V'Kach, Kamata Naisen Lebincham, Kach V'Kach. Right? How much you're gonna money you're going to put into your children's marriage, the father of the daughter, the father of the bride, the father of the groom, right? How much to each one are you going to give? And that's the stars we're talking about. We're not talking about marrying a star because, maybe you can't do Erisin on Chalmai, right? Right? So we'll soon see why. And Amdu V'Kiddush, they got the Kiddush and Kanu Hein Hein Advar and Iskanim B'Mira. These are things that are acquired through just words when they each accept what they're going to go ahead and provide into the children's marriage, and those things can be written down. So let's bring another proof for Shmuel. Right? Shmuel was the initial statement of Mutter La'ares Isha B'Chol, right? So a nice nashim b'moed, a person cannot go ahead and do nesuin, right, which is the final stage of marriage. A nice nashim b'moed, lo b'sulos, even she's a b'sula, right? She was never been with another man, la manos or a widow, miyavne. We can't do yibum. Why? Mipnei shesimcha hilo, because this is a simcha to the person, right? And a marvin simcha b'simcha, as you start earlier in the Masechta, you can't join two different simchas on Chalmai. So halayaris, but says only over here you can't do the kedushin, but you can do the erisin. You can't do the nesuin, but you can do the erisin, i.e. the kedushin before halayaris shari. So we're asking no loy boy kamar loy boy lo ares lo kavi mitzvah. No, it means not only erisin that you can't do on Chalmai because not a mitzvah. Ella feel lisa nami to kavi mitzvah, even to go ahead and marry, which is a mitzvah. Nevertheless, it's us to go ahead and marry. So you can't do any form of marriage, maybe, right? According to which our Mishnah will prove out, and therefore there is no proof that once again for Shmuel who says it's mutter to be makadish a woman on Chalmai. So Tashma, come listen. The Tana debate Shmuel ma'arsin aval loy kainsin. So it says there Ferish, right, that you can do erisin on Chalmai, but you can't go ahead and do the final step of the marriage. However, you can't do a sudas erisin. You can't do a special meal for the erisin. And also, and you can't do yibum so shmamina, because it's a simcha, and therefore shmamina you can't do the suda, but you could do the erisin shmamina. Indeed, it is a proof for Shmuel that one can be ma'ares or mikadesh a woman during Chalmai.
It's the time to be Shmuel. It's his own.
Yeah,
people
right.
Right.
Yeah.
He taught it, and then they're
Right.
They're bringing him as proof.
They bring him as proof for himself.
Right, but a Tana,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a price of those.
right, it's a price, right. And Rabbi Shmuel, right, lives around the time of, right. Yeah. Umi Omar Shmuel Shemek Demenachem. Wait, let's go back to this point for a second. Who says this whole concept of Shemek Demenachem? Omar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel. Shmuel said himself. Said Shmuel. B'chol yom v'yom Baskal Yaitz says Bas Ploni L'Ploni Sadeh Ploni L'Ploni. Right. Each and every day, a Baskal comes out, says, this person will be married to this person. Right. And the Gemara in Sota says, 4 days before it will be announced, but it's basically something in a Shemayim. The shidduch is made in Shemayim. This person with this person, or this field, this piece of real estate will go to this person, right? Those are something that said, right? The Shemayim, Ella. So if that's the case, if every person ends up marrying who he's supposed to marry, so why'd I have to go? Why can I marry a Chalmai? Because someone else will get her. But it's impossible. A Baskal comes out and says, "Bas Ploni L'Ploni," right? Ella Shema Yikdamenu Achim Berachamim. Perhaps someone's going to daven that they don't end up getting married. What do you mean? Like this guy, the Rebbe once heard a person, he was being davening for a certain woman. He says, let her be my shidduch. He was davening for a specific girl, right? He was davening for her. I want to marry her. Please Hashem. So I'm like, wait to buy rachami, right? Don't buy rachami. Don't daven for this. Right? If she's fit for you, then she's not going to leave you, right? And if you like, right? Right? And if not, then she's not meant for you. Then all your davening is going to do no work, right? Because she's not going to marry you because she wasn't destined to marry you, and you're just going to basically be kaifer b'Hashem. You're going to hate Hashem because He doesn't listen to your tefillos. So don't daven to marry this specific girl, because either she's going to be yours and she'll be yours anyways. You don't need to daven. And if she wasn't supposed to be yours, then you're going to hate Hashem for, her marrying somebody else.
Wouldn't that be this thing for everything? Like, how's that?
No, because shidduchim are different. Because we said there's a special bas code that says that this person, right? Yeah. So he says no, but then he heard the kamar. The guy, he wanted to get around the system. So he said the kamar, limos mekama, tamus mekmel. Right? Basically, let me die before she gets married, or let her die before she gets married. In other words, I can't see her marry somebody else. So basically, he was now davening, right, that she should die, right? Whoever she was to marry should die, right? So he wasn't davening the issue before. He can't, see her married. So therefore, we see. So even though, right? So right. So the worry is that you can go ahead and marry her now during Chol Hamoed, because someone might be davening. Someone might go ahead and daven for your death, right? And therefore, before you get married, so therefore, go ahead and marry her now, and therefore to prevent the death. So Amarle, the meal said, Hachi, right? Says, what do you mean? Did I not tell you should go ahead and not daven for such things? And Omar Rav Mishum Rabbi Reuven ben Itzravli. So he says, Mina Torah Minaksuvim Hashem Ishalish. Right? We see from Torah Minaksuvim that a woman is destined to basically a woman is assigned to a man. It says, right, it comes from Hashem. Hashem Yetzirah, right? From Hashem, it comes to the matter. So we see from there. From the Vim, it said, right? And so he said, all right, if the parents didn't know, but it came from Hashem. I mean, from the Ksubim it says, right? Maskelis. Where's this from Mishlei?
Yes.
Right. So it says over there that the house, right, person can inherit from his fathers, but an isha maskelas, a woman who's knowledgeable, who's smart, who's seichel, right, that person gets from Hashem. The Omar Rav Mishum Rabbi Reuven ben Itzrubli. Of Amar that says it was taught in a brayso. Omar Rav Reuven ben Itzrubli. Ein adam nechshe bedavar elim kein asur. A person. Right, if there's smoke, there's fire. Right, if the person is accused of something, then it must have been he did it. Dim lo asa kulo. If he didn't do all of it, then asa mitzasa. He at least did something. Right, he's a little bit guilty. Dim lo asa mitzasa. He didn't do anything. Here believe last asa. He thought about doing it. Right. Dim lo here believe last asa. If he didn't think about doing it, then ro'achem shasav v'sameach. He saw other people doing it, and he was happy with it. He's like, oh, that's gishmak. So Mesa Rabbi Yaakov says, what are we talking about? It says, it says that Bnei Yisrael, they thought things about Hashem which weren't true. So Hashem did it, right? It completely wasn't true. So he says, no, over there is lahaki still only to anger. So to anger, so there was something else. They didn't really think. So Tashma. It says, "Vaikinu Moshe b'machne Aaron." Kodesh Hashem. So it says, "Vaikinu." So a kina, right? The lashon kina, we know lashon kina by a sota. Kina is the warning, and what's shot of the pasuk? Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Amar, "V'lamed shekol echad kina l'ishtem Moshe." Each person warned their wife, "Do not seclude yourself with Moshe Rabbeinu." We don't trust this Moshe Rabbeinu guy, right? That was the rumors that was spread by what's it called? By Kairach, Badasso, right? So they spread rumors about him, so people believed it. So Moshe Rabbeinu, he's nachshad on this. So whereas no Hasam Mishum Sina who over there was because of hatred, right? Because of that, because it came from Sina, it wasn't actual. They didn't really believe it because it caused us to hate, so therefore it came from that reason. So Tashma, Amar Yaisi, Hey Chalki Misha Shechayshino Sebadavar Veinbo. Let my portion be with those who people are, they're chayshed him, and the person is innocent. And now, if such a person, there's rumors about a person, but he's completely innocent, let my portion be with that person. So he says, one time Rav Papa said it happened to him, he was chayshed, and, I was completely innocent, right? So what do you see over there? So that it's only, right, you could be right. Right. You could be innocent. Right. So like Kasha, because pasik, because the pasik. If we're talking about there was a kol, right, and then it stopped. So then, there was, that was against completely innocent. But if it was a rumor and it persisted, then there's something must have happened. The call delay pasuk got common and the cold. And a rumor that didn't start how much? My mother told me, right? It's a day and a half, right? Pretty short time actually. Didn't stop at all. Right? But yeah, there's for social media, right? That's but for that, even if it's a small, break, then it's not anything. And also it only didn't stop because of Yira, because the guy with the rumors about, he's a tough guy. But if it stopped because of Yira, then because then potentially could have been true, right? And also, furthermore, only if it doesn't start up again. But if it goes ahead and starts up again, then there's reason to believe that it's true. If he doesn't have enemies, but if he has enemies, he's not a well-liked person, then it's very possible that these enemies went ahead and started these rumors, and that's the reason why they go around, but really there was no facts in the matter. All right, we'll stop here. Everybody.